In the 12th round of the candidates, Gukesh was behind the tournament leader Jan Nepomniachtchi by half a point, and he was playing black against Abasov, the lower seed. It was sort of a must-win game for him to catch up with Jan Nepomniachtchi. And he plays a brilliant game, a great opening, a very surprising stuff, and gets the win. So let's see how he does it. It was a great game. After d4 knight f6 c4 e6, we have the Nimzo Indian, and here Gugesh plays h6, and this took Abaso out of the opening. It's a very rarely played line. Now knight f3. You might think, what is the point of h6? Is it just to stop bishop g5? Will it be useful in the middle game? Gugesh has an idea behind this. After c5, challenging the center, takes knight a6, pawn g3, knight takes, bishop g2. He goes knight e4. He wants to break this pawn structure and keep a weakness on c4 and c3. So here castles, takes, and bishop c5. The bishop is a very strong piece and cannot be challenged easily. And here after e4, it looks like white has got a decent position because e5 is coming and the knight can jump to e4 and maybe to d6. The bishop can go out to a3. The rooks can come to the d file. So it looks very nice for white. But Gugesh took this risk to get a win out of this, to manufacture a win out of the 12th round. Here, knight h7 was played. A very shocking move. Black is not developed, black is not castled, and he makes one more move with the knight. While white has got three pieces active and he has castled. The white's up 2 tembi. And the idea behind this is e5 is anyway going to come. So he reroutes the knight before the pawn hits. e5 comes, rook b8, preparing to play b6 and bishop b7. So this looks like a very difficult position for black, but this is all preparation. You can see Gugesh has just spent 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes on the clock, and Abasa was down to 1 hour 30 minutes. He has lost 30 minutes. So Abasa was completely out of prep, and he plays knight d2, the most human move, keeping the advantage because he wants to go to e4, b6, preparing bishop b7, knight e4, and bishop b7. Pawn h4, stopping the knight from becoming active. Queen c7 and rook d1. Bishop takes knight. This was a very important moment, and Gugesh shows he is up for the challenge. He shows he is very much alert because this is a very anti-positional move. Nobody would like to exchange of this bishop for a knight sitting on e4. It would not be a first choice. The idea behind this move is after bishop takes, if bishop takes bishop, you can see the nice battery. The point is f5. And you can't take en passant. You can't take en passant and play bishop g6 because this would be a huge blunder. Do you see why? If pawn takes pawn, there's this nice queen g3. And white is the one who will be in trouble. King f1, queen h3, and you just pick up a lot of material. And bishop g2, queen g4. Game goes on, but you will be in a terrible position with your king. So this is why after bishop takes, Abasov takes with the queen. And now castles. By the way, if bishop takes an f5, if you retreat the bishop, now black can castle and there is more safety for the king. The queen is no longer, there's no en passant, this pawn is weak, and it is safer for this king to castle. But yeah, he goes queen takes bishop, and now Gugesh castles. So Gugesh is saying, I've got a equal position and I can put pressure on these pawns forever. White has the bishop pair, but it can't do much with it. There's no knight to jump to d6. It's been exchanged off. So this pawn structure is what Gugesh is counting on. Bishop f4, rook d8, rook d2, just a normal doubling of the rooks on the d file because there is pressure on the d7 pawn. Gugesh plays knight f8, trying to activate it by going to g6. h5, stopping that. Pawn b5. This is another interesting move. So Gugesh wants to apply pressure here, but he doesn't have a light squared bishop, and his knight is not in a position to reach here to attack this pawn. So he focuses attention on the c3 pawn by activating his rook. He allows white to eliminate one of the weaknesses, one of the double pawns, and after takes, the rook is active. The knight is defending d7, so this rook can go to b8 and it can invade the position. Bishop f1, rook goes to b6, rook d1, and now rook b8. The invasion is starting. Pawn a4. So he didn't want to allow rook b2 and the pawn would get hit, and f2 would be weak if takes. So he goes a4, but then rook b3, attacking the c3 pawn. Rook d3, and now rook a3, going behind the a pawn. Rook f3. So Abasov goes for counterplay. So here it is possible to play bishop c1 to attack this rook, in which case the rook will go to a1 and then bishop e3, and then we have an exchange. That is still better for black. Abasov goes for counterplay with rook f3. And here, queen c6, going after the pawn. So queen takes, pawn takes, and the pawn would be hanging. Takes, rook d3, and the pawn falls. So Gukesh now with a solid advantage. Bishop g2 going after c6, rook a2, threatening f2. Rook d2 takes. The more material comes off, the easier it is for Gukesh to play because he has an outside pass pawn. So he goes rook c8, bishop e4, and now a5. The pass pawn starts running. Bishop c2, g5. The knight also needs to become active. And here, if the bishop moves, there'll be an exchange, and the knight will be able to come out with knight h7, knight g5. So pawn takes, knight takes back, attacking the bishop, king g2, and king g7. He doesn't take this bishop. This is interesting. This is also a possibility, knight take bishop. He correctly evaluated this not as great as it looks, but yeah, this was still comfortable. So stakes, and there is still the pass pawns, two pass pawns now. So he goes king. Anyway, the bishop will be taken if he wants to. It can't move anywhere. Even if it moves, bishop will take here. So king g7, he just waits. Bishop a4, and now knight doesn't take it. He believes in the power of the knight. He reroutes it to d5 or f5. Pawn c4, stopping knight d5, and now rook b8. The knight is defending this, the bishop is defending the knight, and the rook is free to move in. Rook a2, bishop b4, king f3, rook d8. So nice rerouting of the pieces. White is running around trying to defend any invasion, but he's not able to stop everything. And he's down to 2 minutes. And here bishop e3, rook comes in. King e2 and rook c3. One more pawn falls. I mean, you can play rook c2, but that will lead to an exchange and the h pawn would start running. So here c5 was played. So was there any choice? Rook c2, what would have happened? Let's see. Yeah, rook c2 wouldn't work because of rook a3. Wow. That would have been a nice line. So that is very unfortunate for Abasov that he can't play rook c2 to defend the pawn. So he plays pawn c5. Can we take this right away? If you take it here, bishop takes right away. Oh, this bishop d2. This is very heavy stuff. In small ideas, but which changes the position. So this is a way to still fight back. So that is why he cannot take the pawn instantly. It wouldn't be ideal. And this is a great move. Gukesh brings in another piece. Knight d5. Now all three pieces have invaded the position, and there is still a pass pawn. He goes rook c2 and now takes, and pawn pushes. Using a fork. You can't take, of course, because knight c3 wins a piece. Kind of like the Hikaru versus Firusha knight fork at the end in the first game they played. King d3 and now e3. Bishop b3 stopping the pawn and now king g6. Bishop d4, king g5. The king also enters the party. King c4, bishop comes to c1. King d3, king g4. Preparing king f3. Bishop d1 check, king goes back. And now bishop repeats, but king now finds another way, king f5. He wants to get in via e4. If white moves, which white will have to, right? What can white do? I mean, next move for black would be knight b4 and a2. So here, king c4 was played, stopping somewhat. King e4. Can we go knight b4? Yeah, knight b4 is also winning here. But yeah, he goes for the more safer and better choice. King e4. Bishop stops the invasion again, but now pawn a2. And now f3. King goes back. Bishop check. King moves and bishop b3. The pawn is gone, yeah. So what was the plan? There is still knight b4. I mean, this is still possible. But then you'll have to worry about bishop c3. No, bishop c3. What will happen? Let's see. Bishop takes, king takes. Oh, we can just promote. Sorry. So bishop c3 doesn't work. So he'll have to play something like bishop b2 and hold on. So knight b4 is still there, but there is a much better choice which he does, which he plays after bishop b3. Gukesh plays bishop takes g3, and now he has basically transferred the pass pawn job from the A to the H. And now white is in no position to come running here because his king and pieces stuck on this side. So after bishop takes, he just pushes h5, and in 4 moves, it's a queen. The bishop will need time to come here, and you'll have to like open up the diagonal also. So it's not possible in time, which is why Abasov resigned here. And that's a great win for Gukesh. It's a win of a champion, like someone who manufactured a win out of nothing. He was playing black and he needed to win, and he played a surprising opening and got it. The standings after 12 rounds is we have Gukesh, Hikaru, and Nepo on 7.5 points. And we have Fabiana Caruana on 7 points. So these four are like fighting for the first place. Prag is behind, and Vidit Talirasa Nijat don't have a chance. Prag has an outside chance somewhat, like if, but not likely. Yeah, 1.5 points behind with 2 rounds to go. It's not likely. So we have four people who are like tied. And now in round 14, Nepo is going to play against Fabiano Caruana in round 14. So if you see here, yeah. And that will be a very interesting game because Nepo might have to make a result there. And Fabi will be white against Nepo. And 13th round, Nepo Nyashi is playing against Hikaru. That will also be a heavyweight fight. So the candidates has become very exciting towards the end, as is the case, as has been the case with previous candidates. So a great couple of rounds coming up for us.